Hello and welcome to White Mountain's Sunday service. Today I'm going to be talking about creativity, beingness, and light. Creativity, beingness, and light. Nicholas Rourke oftentimes wrote about the topic of creativity. He was a Russian artist, a philosopher, and a writer. He believed that creativity was a powerful force that could inspire positive change in the world. He emphasized the importance of nurturing creativity through artistic expression, but also through spiritual practices and a deep connection with the natural world. He saw creativity as a way to bring beauty, harmony, and enlightenment into our lives and society. He believed that creativity was not only a means of artistic expression, but also a spiritual practice that could lead to personal growth and enlightenment. He used the creative process as a way to connect with higher realms of consciousness and tap into universal truths. He emphasized the idea that creativity was a gift to be shared with others, of bringing beauty and inspiration into the world. He believed that through creativity, people could transcend their personal limitations. Just think about this a minute, that we can transcend our personal limitations through creativity and contribute to the overall whole of humanity. These are things that Nicholas Rourke believed in, taught, and lived. Rourke's writings often explore the relationship between creativity, nature, spirituality, highlighting the interconnectedness of all living beings and the importance of finding harmony within ourselves and the world around us. So overall, Nicholas Rourke viewed creativity as a transformative force that had the power to uplift and heal and unite individuals across cultures, across generations. His philosophy on creativity continues today to inspire artists, thinkers, and spiritual seekers around the world. For example, in the book Himavat, he wrote, "Creative is the thought of good. The good never destroys. It untiringly elevates and builds. By commands of good are affirmed those eternal foundations which have been ordained to humanity and all the best tablets." He wrote, "The call of the blessed Bhagavan for creative good will forever remain the great spiritual heritage of humanity." What is interesting is that he also wrote about spiritual people. For example, Rabindranath Tagore. He wrote of Rabindranath Tagore, he wrote, "One cannot name any sphere of culture to which Tagore is indifferent. With everything educational, creative, and constructive, Tagore will not only sympathize, but also find helpful suggestions." It is but natural that Rabindranath Tagore responded cordially to the Rourke Pact and Banner of Peace for the protection of the world's cultural treasures, whose soul could vibrate with greater ardor for the safeguarding of the fruits of creativeness than Tagore's. But he knows the difficulty. He's talking about Tagore now. He knows the difficulty of the present moment. Rourke said he feels that malice and hatred hover above the world at present, not from newspapers, but through his wise heart he comprehends what danger peaceful labor threatens during, at that time, the present Armageddon. Tagore does not conceal these dangers. As always, he speaks daringly of questions of peace and education. In his book Vigil, he wrote about Ramakrishna, saying the thoughts about the good, which Ramakrishna so generously taught, should awaken the best sides of human hearts. Ramakrishna always preached against deniers and destroyers. He was in all aspects or respects a builder for the good, and his admirers should unfold on the examples of his teaching the best hidden treasures of their hearts. Such beneficial creativeness is very active. And of Ramakrishna's he said, and it is naturally also transmuted. Creativity is also transmuted into the best achievements on all paths of life. Gathering on the memorial day of Ramakrishna's anniversary, the pilgrims do not fear the dust of the road. They are not frightened by the fatiguing heat, but they are filled with a striving toward the good, toward the great service to humanity. Service to humanity. Great is this ordainment of Ramakrishna. And here's a profound statement that gives us a glimpse into the humility of the heart of Nicholas Rourke himself when he said, reverence to the teacher. He wrote, I recall a small Hindu who found his teacher. We asked him, is it possible that the sun would glow to you if you would see it without the teacher? And the boy smiled. And he said, the sun would remain as the sun. But in the presence of the teacher, 12 suns would shine to me. The sun of the wisdom of India shall shine, because upon the shores of a river, there sits a boy who knows the teacher. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, sure would. So, let's dig into today's talk by exploring the subject of creativity and discovering what it means. Creativity means building those ways and means that can meet the growing needs of your family, of your group, and of course also humanity. That it can meet humanity's rising consciousness and expanding the sense of beauty. A question you can ask yourself in your growing and expanding spirituality: is my creativity meeting humanity's rising consciousness? Creativity is an effort to be spiritual. It is an effort to manifest the glory of the Spirit through form and matter. This is interesting, the fact that creativity is going to lead us to our core, and that discipleship is a long, lifelong labor to bring that core into manifestation. creativity makes you know yourself. Unless you manifest yourself, you cannot know what you are in your core. So I was thinking about the events that happened last night with our former president and the assassination attack. And how do you justify or even juxtapose a conversation like we're having this morning with such a terrific event, such a horrifying event? How do you do it? It really is a spotlight on the difference between the good and the bad. And in listening to, like, Fareed Zakaria this morning on his Sunday program, and those that are being interviewed, they're all so sober in their expression of the need to bring peace back to this country, and how political violence is not the symbol of this country. So no matter who is involved, we have to bring ourselves as a country, as a society, as an individual back to the purpose of life, which is not death, but it is serving the good in all. The thing is, it's not newsworthy. When you strive to serve the good in all, when you strive to expand your spirituality, when you strive to go out into the trenches to do good, it's not newsworthy. So that too must change. We must bring our creativity out into manifestation through social media, through CNN, through MSNBC, through Fox News, all our news stations in this country, to find a way to focus on the transformation of life. And the purpose of life is to become more creative, not more destructive. To allow us to have our differences, to allow us to have our opinions, and even to allow us to have our bias through the process of creativity. So that's what I wanted to say about what's happened, and let us in our discussions think about serving the common good in what happened last night in such a way that it doesn't further divide our families or further divide our country. So creativity is the labor to manifest the inner divinity, to manifest the inner divinity, to manifest the self in outer expression. So creativity is a process of touching one's own capital S self. It can be also recognized as our higher self. It is creativity is a moment where we truly contact our higher self. The higher self cannot be known unless it is manifested in creative action. It is helpful to know something about creativity, to realize that creativity is twofold. So can I say that you are a practitioner of creativity, to recognize that there are two stages to creativity. The first one is called reflected beauty. Reflected beauty. The other stage or other fold of the twofold nature of creativity is called the creativity of beingness. So we have the reflected creativity, which is the first one, and the other one is creativity of beingness, or creativity of realization. So the first type of creativity, the reflected creativity, occurs when a person can reflect the creative works of others. They can reflect the creative work of others, putting them together and producing a new combination of colors and forms and movements and ideas and so on. But in reflected creativity, they are not in their own creation. Their creation is not a pouring out of their own self. But the creativity of beingness is, or the creativity of realization, occurs when the person is in their creative expression and they are fused with it. In other words, they are one with what they are creating. In a sense, they are his or her own creation. For example, imagine hearing two artists playing violins. One can factually play the given notes, while the other puts their entire higher self into it. You're going to feel the impact of that second violinist. The creativity of beingness upon their own being. When you play your notes on the level it was conceived and created, then you are the true artist. So the true artist is the artist of beingness, whereas the first artist is the artist in the process of being. So creativity is the ability to express or to produce. Express or to produce. It is a level. As you raise your level of consciousness, as you raise your level of beingness through transformation, through transfiguration, and through resurrection, you come in contact with greater lives who are creative sources. Their substance, the substance of creative with the capital C, their substance of creative sources or fire gives us a greater vision and inspiration and causes greater striving. So this is why we read and study the creative expressions of the great ones. The fire of their creative expression inspires us no matter what field they are in. They inspire us. And what's so incredibly beautiful and perhaps even mystical is that creativity ignites a fire or a flame within our heart, a flame that has many resources to inspire that core within ourselves. And as that core within ourselves is ignited through the inspiration of capital C creative sources, it puts us in contact with our higher self. Now we have our own source of inspiration. And perhaps that's a bit of a misnomer, because when I say our own higher self, that higher self is connected and inspired by even greater sources. So creativity results from the circulation. This is really important to think about. This is the science now of creativity. where creativity results from the circulation of energies when they pass through etheric, emotional, mental vehicles and purify and regenerate and recreate them. So this creativity is a flow of energy that passes through our etheric body, our astral body, our mental body, our centers, that then purifies, regenerates, and recreates them. So we go through transformative changes as we become increasingly creative. Energies are absolutely necessary to our subtle bodies, as they are necessary to the physical body. For example, through these energies, our bodies, our physical, etheric, emotional, astral, mental body, are going to regenerate. Regeneration means that finer bodies now, our lower bodies are now going to regenerate in such a way that finer bodies are created. These energies not only bring the creative process into our etheric, astral, and mental bodies, but they also bring true powers of creative imagination, visualization, and higher and more subtle substance to be used to give form to new ideas and expanding vision. These energies in their totality are light energies, love energies, and willpower energies. So ideas seek manifestation through our etheric centers. It's a point to think about, that ideas manifest through our etheric centers. Love seeks expression through our purified and organized astral centers. And will energy seeks manifestation through our unified and highly organized mental centers. So you see the science of how this energy works. So ideas are currents of light energy. Ideas are currents of light energy emanating not only from a human being, but also from planetary and solar sources in the form of thought forms, inspiration, impression, or simply currents of energy with specific direction. Our centers, the antakarana, the mental mechanism, and our astral and etheric bodies are the mechanisms of contact with these energies. Let me repeat this. The antakarana, our centers, the mental mechanism, our astral and etheric bodies are the mechanisms of contact with these energies. But, and there is a but here, we need to register these energies. They must be registered. Then we must assimilate these energies, these ideas, and express them through our creative activities, emotions, and thoughts to bring about transformation, which brings about change in the world. Creativity is the fusion of energies with the matter of etheric, astral, and mental substance to make the plan actualize and the purpose of life to be fulfilled. Your plan, your life purpose to bring your life plan and purpose into fruition. Now this is interesting. Again, this is the esoteric science of creativity. Light energy comes to us through our throat center, from our higher self, from the knowledge petals, from Venus, the Pleiades, and Sirius, and other constellations. Now I know for some of you these words are new words, but that's a good thing. We want newness. We want new ideas. We want ideas that help expand our understanding of life, and in this case, that will help make us more creative human beings. So events like last night, that assassination, will no longer take place in the world today. Light energy. Now I mentioned Venus. Venus is one of the great centers of light in the solar system. So take a moment and look at Venus when you can. If you have a telescope, focus that telescope on Venus and think about what Venus is doing for this planet, not just for us as individuals, but for the planet. It's one of the great centers of light in the solar system. Another great center, the teaching tells us, is the Pleiades. The Pleiades provides light for all 7 sacred planets. Then there is another greater light center, which is called the Sun, Sirius, that also provides light. So if a person is going to be creative, they must have light. They accumulate these lights from these different centers and register them from wherever they can due to their level of consciousness and their level of beingness. They absorb this light, assimilate it, and then they circulate it through their entire human constitution, bringing regeneration, bringing unfoldment, and development in all their centers, especially in the etheric centers. So light works with the etheric body, with the centers of light in the astral body, such as the throat center, and with the knowledge petals of the mental body. Nicholas Roerich said, create, create, create. Create in the daytime, he said, and create at night. For creation in thought, he wrote, is as essential as our physical expression. He said, in this creativeness, you shall overcome the most hideous habits of vulgarity, triviality, and quarreling. People sometimes think that creators are very selfish and conceited, but these ugly properties belong to the domain of darkness. When a person climbs to the light, then such an abhorrent husk drops off by itself, and man becomes enlightened. His I is changed into the conception of we. Isn't that beautiful? Truly. Your level of creativity determines your ability to receive. Your level of creativity determines your ability to receive, to assimilate, and to express light, your level of creativity. If you are at the kindergarten level, you're not going to be able to receive any or much light. You're not going to be able to assimilate it to much of an extent or even to express it. So, not only is your development necessary, but also your purification. And this is an important point because there is a danger in invoking light. There is a danger. When the light comes as energy, it destroys things that belong to the darkness within your system. This destruction sometimes causes psychological upheavals. Some people go through trauma, not because they are ignorant, and not because they have no light, but because they have an abundant amount of light that they cannot handle. So think about this. It's in a sense, it reminds me of the teachings talking to us about meditation. The teaching talks about and emphasizes the importance of meditation, the importance of prayer, the importance of the first day you begin your meditation. That first stage you continue through the last day of your life. And each month, each year of your life, you can increase just a little bit the amount of time that you spend in prayer and meditation. The reason for this instruction is so that you can begin to let the meditation, the energies of meditation, begin to purify and transform and change and refine your bodies. So the more refined your bodies are, the more you can assimilate light. Now, if you start meditation and meditate for a few months and then you stop, or you decide, wow, I really love meditation. It's really the most valuable gift ever given to me, so I must meditate at least an hour in the morning, at least an hour in the afternoon. Don't do it. It will literally make you crazy. I mean, I've had experiences, not personal experiences, but with students and friends that this has happened to. We see groups, the same thing happens in groups. You have individuals coming into an enlightened group, an illumined group, and they go crazy. The group has to learn how to assimilate and absorb the darkness of that individual, and they gradually help them undergo transformation so they can assimilate the light that the group has to share and to give with them. It's very interesting. So, to realize there is danger in invoking light. When the light comes as energy, I'm repeating this, it destroys things that belong to the darkness within your system. Purification is also important when your physical body, emotional and mental body, within your physical, emotional and mental body. If light comes and hits you, for example, your emotional system, what happens is when it hits that emotional system, it creates a neurosis. Millions of people in humanity are invoking light by sounding the great invocation. Let light descend on earth. This is great, but people are going crazy. Do we not need light? Of course we do. We need light. We need more light. We are not going to stop the inflow of the light, but we are going to purify ourselves so that we use the light creatively. Until your mechanism is ready, until your mechanism is purified, the energies you are receiving will give different results than you are expecting. So, Creativity is a state of consciousness in which you enter into the treasury of your innermost being and bring the beauty into manifestation. Give it time. Give it lifetimes, but start now. You come in contact with the glories of the Great Presence, and you're going to bring these glories out into the manifestation of your creative work. The creative moment of contact with that frequency in you is going to reveal the mystery of color and sound and movement and symbols. In creativity, you listen to this. This is so important and so vital to help you better understand the power of creativity. That in creativity, you answer your own needs. You meet your own needs. So creativity is a contact with prototypes. I know I've shared a lot with you today, but you can go back and take notes and listen to the YouTube video when it comes up later today, up on the internet. Creativity is a contact with prototypes and the ability to bring them into manifestation. In the course of such a process, you eventually confront the task of creating yourself anew. And you let that self, that capital self, manifest in all its greatest glory. This is how you may be born again spiritually. So in essence, creativity means to change your substance and change your life, or to create a new life. All progress is based on individual change and transformation. When you are a creative person, your creativity will change your life. When people see your art, your music, and your creativity, they will change. They themselves will change, because creativity is the continuous manifestation and radioactivity of the divine fire, of the divine presence. In all your creativity, whether you are writing poetry or books, creating music, architecture, you are going to work with one purpose. Think how you can circulate all this energy so that the result of this activity brings happiness and success, prosperity, and enlightenment for all humanity. So I was thinking how this works with the group. You know, this year, just in 1 year's time, and this is only July, we have published 2 books. One is a 2-volume set, and the other is 1 volume. One is called The High Path. It took 5 years of people working together, weekend after weekend, day after day, and then ultimately putting everything together in such a beautiful way that these 2 volumes are now published and being read all over the world. And then most recently, we published a book called Seed Thoughts for Daily Planting. It's becoming a bestseller. Well, maybe not in the New York Times, but for what, because we publish many books now, but I think about, you know, the people that are writing in and saying how much this book means to them and how beautiful it is. This is the result of creativity. So it's not only transforming the work of the group, but touching the lives of people that are reading the books, which are the words of the teacher, the words of the great ones. In closing, Nicholas Roerich gave us a message. He said, on the path toward the summits, man will understand the true meaning of guruship. From the depth of darkness, one can hear at present disgusting cries such as down with culture, down with heroes, down with teachers. He said it is a shame on humanity, but one witnesses such outcries of crass ignorance even today. But he who thinks of such a refined conception as creativity, color and sound, culture and harmony, he will understand the infinite hierarchy of beauty, creativity, and knowledge. And having ascended the majestic stairs of achievement, he will lead also the pilgrims of life following behind. So think about creativity today. Think about how you can be more creative. And you may say you're not a creative person or you're not an artist, but you are. After listening to today, you cannot say you are not. So I was thinking about, well, what can you do? Almost everybody today has a cell phone. Every cell phone has a camera in it. And the newer cell phones have cameras that, that produce such clear images, as opposed to when we had to have all those big, huge cameras and those things.
Lenses.
What are they called? Lenses. Right. You can take your cell phone and go out into nature and begin to take pictures. That's the first way to start. You can write poetry, and you don't even have to take a class in poetry. Just write from your heart and begin the creative process. So that's my advice for today.